What is your motivation? Like, what drives you? This is where we're looking at the Enneagram. A lot of people don't really know what that means or what it is. On this channel, I think on this channel, we have a lot of Myers-Briggs people, but not many people are talking about their Enneagram. And that's probably my fault, because we've never talked about it before. So I'm gonna go through the 9 really fast to help you understand where they are, where they come from, and all that jazz. So you can be like, oh yeah, baby. That's my motivation. That's my driving force. So 2 things I'll say right off the bat. If you're worried about not being able to be 2 things at once, I have a solution. If you really look at it, you are 5 Enneagrams. 5 Enneagrams? Yes, because you have the lines in the middle, which ironically create a symmetrical shape. It's all set up perfectly. And then you have your wings. There's 2 on each side, right? 1 on each side. So 2 wings. 2 plus 2 plus your main number is 5. You're mainly this main number. And keep in mind that the numbers next to it are where, depending upon your age and maturity and life path, you lean towards. You can change your wings over time, so they say. And then the lines in between, whenever you're making effort in life, either positive or negative effort, you kind of lean towards one of these lines. These are actually arrows if you look closely. One of the arrows is pointing towards something where you're growing, and dissemination. The thing that's like the negative growth for you, if you would look at it that way. Some people believe that the arrows don't matter, just the lines themselves, meaning you can go one way or the other. And yes, that's Rachel on the back. Where's my son? There he is. So, 5 Enneagrams. Let's pick off your first one. We'll start at the bottom. As you notice, there's a gap between the 5 and the 4. And at the top, the 9 to the 1. These are all single digits. We don't have any double-digit numbers, right? There's no 10. It just goes to 9. All right, so here we go. The bottom left one is the Sigma, the 5. Sigmas and all the hype stuff about that right now really means somebody who just doesn't care about anything but what they're doing. If you're a Sigma, then hats off to you. I have a tendency to be one as well. I am a 4-wing 3, which a tendency to be the 4-wing 5 at times. These guys are kind of the mean people, or just seen as the very focused people. You can have, pre-contemplative notions and stigmas and negative attitudes towards any of these types just because you know somebody who has that. But that doesn't mean that the 5 are the D word. They're not mean and they're not bad. 5s are focused and they will flip off the world in order to fulfill what their 5 is indicating for them to do. They do not give a crap about your opinions. And that is the glory of the 5. The 5 is also in the fear realm. And you'll also notice that there are 3, right? There are 3 groups: fear, anger, and shame. Fear on the left side, anger on the top, and the shame on the right side. These have the foundations of what those are. Meaning a 5 is based upon fear. I mean, why else would you flip off the world and try to become a great master at something? You're afraid of not being great. You're afraid of being seen as a loser or stupid. So, out of fear, you go Sigma, from understanding what Sigma means at all. But that's the stereotypes, right? Sigmas are masters at something, and they will make that happen, and that has a negative connotation. Now, Myers-Briggs falls into these places really easily. A lot of Myers-Briggs will naturally fit into an Enneagram, so you don't have to think too hard. Let me put it this way. INTJs fall easily into the Enneagram 5 because they want to become masters at something. And frankly, they are set up perfectly to be that way. And of course, you can get an Enneagram of any type of Myers-Briggs, but that's probably the easiest one for an INTJ, I would think, to become a 5. But because they're the opposite of the ESFP, literally, we are subconscious, ESFPs are the performers. So it's easy to find an INTJ 5-wing 4. And 4, like myself, we have the desire to be unique. If it's not entertaining or good enough, or I don't move around enough, I take it down. If I get too many negative comments or something, I take it down. I want to be unique. I want to be powerful in my uniqueness and positivity in that realm. That's a 4. 4-wing 3. 3s are known for being accomplished people. They're the achievers. So already you can see the 5s are the Sigmas, the masters. 4s are the unique ones. Prince is a 4-wing 3, for example. Like a guy named himself, artist formerly known as... You gotta have that 4 element. The problem with a 4-wing 5, as you can see naturally going backward, is that they are highly perfectionistic and hardly finish anything because they're so critical, because they're not perfect masters and unique at the same time. Anybody who has a 5 in their Enneagram, my heart goes out to you because I get it. A lot of 4s are artists. Now, going up the Enneagram counterclockwise, the 3s are the achievers. These are also based upon shame. Shame in the bottom right. Those 3 right there. 4, 3, and 2. Now, where do the INFJ fit in? A lot of people here are INFJ. INFJs tend to fall into a lot of the upper, again, just my opinion, 9s, 1s, and 2s. Also, I have a good friend who's an INFJ 5-wing 4. So this is just where the tendencies probably fall. And I think those are for the INFJs who are overly developed in their FE and have all these negative things happen to them. So to validate that is kind of where the 9s probably fall in, or the 2s actually. So the 2s are the ones who give so much love. They love to give, but they love to receive as well. So if you are a 2, you give so much love and expect to have it in return. It's kind of a covert contract, like the ISFJs and the INFJs, ISTJs, they can all kind of do that. ESFJs do that a lot too. But if you're a 2, whatever your wing is, like 2s, like gosh, that's gotta be tough. But there's blessings to each of these as well, right? Pros and cons. So the pro is you're a very loving person as a 2. People love you, generally speaking, hopefully. But the negative side is that you kind of expect that in return. It's kind of a love language thing. Now we're branching off into that. But not necessarily, right? This is just your motivational force. I want to give. I want to just give to the world, but I want to have it back. You'll never say it. You'll never say it. But that's kind of the expectation. So what if you're a 3 wing 2? So we're grabbing the wings as we're going up. 3 wing 2 is an achiever, but the things that you're achieving are kind of based upon the group perhaps. Like you do marathons and you want to be seen as doing the marathon, but I did it with my son, or I did it with my wife, or whatever. You did it with somebody and you kind of want to pull them in too. The 2s, if you look at number 2, is kind of the shape of a heart. So I flipped the 2 and that's how I remember it. 3s, like gold, silver, bronze, 3 places, 3, and it's easy to get a medal. That's an easy way to remember that. 4s we're kind of pokey. We stay on stage, we want to be seen as something that stands out, like a torch or a old lantern. The lanterns kind of have these like spokes, like in Beauty and the Beast, Lumiere. I want to apologize for the long videos, but some of you guys like it, so I'll just keep going. Now, let's go to those perfect number 1s. The stick up there, what? That's how I remember that, number 1. Because they want perfection. Their goal, their driving force in life is for perfection. Like, not just perfection, but like, not like a 5 type of perfection, but like a goodness perfection. Like glory, divinity, righteousness. These are the people who are more likely to be like priests and work in ecclesiastical fields, right? The purists. If they were wizards, they'd be wizards of light. So keep that in mind for anybody who's doing what's right because it's right's sake. So a lot of ISTJs would fall into this. They keep the rules perfectly. They want that, very easy to probably detect an ISTJ1. If you're a 1 wing 2, then that's kind of interesting because an ISTJ who's overly loving, it's like, what do you want? So you're questioning that now. ESFPs, by the way, fall into 4s really easily. ISFPs can do that too. Those are probably the more natural ones. But the INFJ 9. So the 9s, people would say that Jesus is a 9. This is where the whole INFJ Jesus thing comes in. Again, these are just things that are hearsay. But who's to say otherwise? The point is that 9. They are kind of the neutral peacemakers. They're called the peacemakers, the 9s. If you have a 9 wing 1, then you're a peacemaker who seeks for righteousness. So there you go. There's your, just to validate that. But then you have the other wing, right? Which is the cantankerous one, the argumentative one. The guys who just want to freaking argue. Their driving force is not even to win. It's just to have a little bout and a little quarrel with you because it's a great motivational force. I just want to see what they'll do. Remember the 8s, man. I remember the 8s because there's 2 dots in an 8 and they're fighting each other all the time. It's also the number for infinity if you flip it sideways. Like it's always this never-ending battle of just cantankerous arguments. But the glory of an 8 is that they win a lot too. If they're like an attorney, ESTJs fall into 8s very easy. ESTPs also can be 8s because ESTPs are really good at sales and they'll argue for their sale. So the worst type to be at this point, because we're closing on a thing, is probably an INFP type 9. Now, that's a tough thing to say, but if you made it this far, I want to get into some juicy stuff. The most bland is a 9. A 9 wing 1 is probably the most neutral and holy of the types, which is where the whole INFJ, like we talked about earlier, thing happens. But if you're an INFP 9 wing 1, that's really tough because INFPs are known as the writers. They write, they can be very intuitive, feeling based, and open to opportunity. That's INFP, and they're usually alone. They have their little group of friends though. They're subtly social, the INFPs. So when you have someone like that who's also neutral peacemaker, bland, number 9, the driving force is to keep things status quo. And I know we haven't gotten to the Enneagrams and I'm closing out of time, so hopefully I'll do a part 2 if you guys want it. But since we're validating as we go, the INFPs are probably the most disrespected Myers-Briggs. They are also the most judged for being neutral, bland, and unknowing, which is why they can take what they actually do know, because that's a stereotype, but what's inside they can put into their art. So I do not agree with that notion that they're of those negative things. The geniusness and creativity that is the INFP would struggle as a 9, I would think. I would prefer an INFP to be something like a 4, like myself, like a 4-wing 3. To find an INFP with a driving force to be unique and to achieve is probably more rare. Those are the types of INFPs I think that, my opinions, because I'm a 4-wing 3. So I can't say more than that, but I would like to hear what you guys are, what you think you are, what you want to, crap them at a time. Love you.